I want you to hear, in fact, Super Don, you mentioned that Ron Paul's speech after South Carolina, where he placed fourth, sounded like a victory speech. But indeed, you are right. He has a strategy the other guys don't have, considering Santorum and Newt are not even on the ballots in all 50 states. But let's give a listen to uplift and energize our Monday here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Here's Ron Paul following the South Carolina results.
There's been now 3 elections, and a total of 37 delegates have been chosen so far. Less than 2%, like 1.5%. This is the beginning of a long, hard slog. So we will certainly be promoting this in the most frugal way. We will be going to the caucus states, and we will be promoting the whole idea of getting more delegates, because that's the name of the game, and we will pursue it. The one thing we can say about our campaign, have you ever noticed other candidates going up and then down, up and then down? So far, I am very proud to say that our efforts is steady growth. It's steady growth like this. Even compared to 4 years ago, it looks like tonight we will get 4 to 5 times more votes than we did 4 years ago. Let me tell you how proud I am of all the supporters and all the efforts made in this. And just believe me, thank you very much. Keep up the good work. We have the message, we have the talent, we have the determination, and we will win this battle for peace and prosperity. Thank you.
Yeah, baby, that was Ron Paul.
What can you say to that, right?
You know how uplifting it is when you hear that? And it's so different from the other candidates who always run these scripts and things. And then it's all about them, too. You talk about an ego trip, the egomaniacs, a lot of in politics, it's all about me, me, me. And for Ron, it's all about the message, and it's all about the future. It's all about you. It's all about. I had messages on my Facebook page from this weekend because I was talking about, what's the status of everything. And remember last Friday we had Tom Woods on. We were talking about Operation Grandma, and that's become another popular YouTube as far as how do we talk to our elders? How do we talk to our parents and grandparents about it? And had some nice messages about some people who are grandparents and great-grandparents saying, listen, I am for Ron Paul, all because I may not live long enough to see it, but I'm for my kids and grandkids to make sure that they have a land of liberty to live in. But then again, we have, I don't want to ignore Newt Gingrich because he's the guy, the spotlight in South Carolina. And if you want to hear a different kind of, I won, look at me, I am all about, it's all about me. Listen to the difference here as we got a clip of Gingrich talking about, what is it, the values that he holds, or are they the same as the American people? This is amazing.
This was part of his victory speech that just jumped out at me.
It's not that I am a good debater. It is that I articulate the deepest felt values of the American people. It's not that I am a good debater. It is that I articulate the deepest felt values of the American people.
I had to play that twice.
I had to play that again. The deepest held values of the American people.
Yeah.
I found this website. I think it's called newtexposed.com.
Oh, no, I don't want to see that.
No, well, no. It's not rated X, I promise.
Okay.
But, yeah, that would be horrible. But they put together a list of stuff about Newt Gingrich I hadn't seen before. And I read down this list, and I was like, holy cow. You're telling me 40% of South Carolina, the Republicans voted for this guy? I mean, we're talk about a big government liberal guy. He raised the debt ceiling 4 times. He co-sponsored the Fairness Doctrine. He supported NAFTA. He supported the GATT treaty. He's been totally anti-gun. I mean, he's done all kinds of stuff that's basically gun control. He was fined by the Republican Congress $300,000 for ethics violations.
Yeah, wasn't that amazing? And this is evidence to me that South Carolina would go him 40%. Of course, Romney was in there, Santorum was in there, then Ron Paul. But again, remember, 4 to 5 times the amount of votes he got 4 years ago. Huge.
Oh, and I got to ask. I mean, He says the deeply held values of America. Are those the deeply held values of America? Global warming with Nancy Pelosi, voting for TARP. He said he would have voted for the $700 billion TARP bailout had he had the opportunity to do so.
Well, and you mentioned, Don, the Fairness Doctrine that he was in support of, but how does he explain it away? He says,
see, at the time, he wanted it because it would have silenced the left-wing media.
There you go.
Now
he's not for the First Amendment then. I mean, that's the whole thing about this.
No. He's not for the First Amendment
Yeah.
if it is applied towards a liberal point of view.
Well, exactly. It's a blanket thing at that point.
Yeah.
And see, this was the argument against the fairness doctrine, why Reagan wanted it overturned, because it stifles freedom of speech. Now, the First Amendment was written to protect speech you don't like. So that's why I say Gingrich was against the First Amendment. But hey, that's not a big stretch, understanding that you've got Republican and Democrats in Congress, in the Senate, supporting things like the Patriot Act, basically the abolition of the Fourth Amendment. So it's not like it's new news, but for the so-called Southern conservatives to go for Gingrich means that they are all hopped up on fluoride, taking Prozac, on numerous drugs, completely deficient of vitamins, minerals, and trace minerals, eating Twinkies every day, fried no doubt. And I don't mean to pick on everybody in South Carolina, because yesterday's show, if you missed the Robert Scott Bell Show through the Genesis Communications Network, I do on Sunday, I had one of my dear friends from the organic racing team, Kevin Bolton. He went there for a day and ended up spending 3 days there with all the supporters out there. And he had made hundreds of calls, said he never even found a Gingrich supporter on all those calls he made. So it's suspicious as well. I will acknowledge that the vote is suspicious in that where were all these Gingrich supporters coming out, except to say maybe the young people didn't turn out in the numbers that are necessary. And maybe the young people hadn't heard about Operation Grandma that we talked about with Tom Woods either. And so there's a little bit of work to do. But what else has Gingrich found out here? Supporting the GATT treaty, surrendering sovereignty to what? The United Nations, Don. The UN.
Yay.
We love that organization. The global, if you want to talk about the bureaucratic oligarchy and a disastrous, let's say, dysfunctional organization, the UN is your poster boy.
Well, I suppose Gingrich thinks that a deeply held value of the American people is surrendering your sovereignty to the United Nations. Talk about family values. I saw something kind of funny yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw this picture of Newt Gingrich, and under it says family values. Using daughters from your first wife to convince everyone that your second wife is lying about your third wife. Family values.
The deepest felt values of the American people.
Apparently the deeply held values of 40% of South Carolina.
Well, I guess everybody secretly wants to have 3 wives at the same time. I mean, this is a value that Newt Gingrich obviously holds. And remember in the opening of the South Carolina debate, not to belabor this, but I want to help you understand how the media operates. It's like somebody would say, well, John King really was trying to get a gotcha moment with Gingrich here. But to me, it was almost a setup, because Gingrich knows how to handle the media. He knows how it's like feeding him red meat. Go after him and watch Gingrich turn it around and go, yes, you're trying to attack me. And he attacks back. And the crowd absolutely roars at that point. And I think they like that because the people of South Carolina genuinely do not like the mainstream, old, polluted, toxic media. And so feeding him that piece of red meat, Gingrich was able to just go on the attack, and everybody goes, aha, he's our man. He'll attack Obama, and we want him to attack Obama that way. But it's not. It's very, let's say it's a guttural response. It's a knee-jerk response. It's more emotionalism rather than taking a step back and going, can he really beat Obama in the fall? No, he's not even on.
You have to take into consideration the number of people that are simply looking for somebody to beat Obama, and that's it. They aren't looking at what that person really stands for. They're not concerned about mistakes that they've made in the past or character issues that might influence things they may do in the future. They're kind of setting those things aside and giving him a pass.
Right.
Because they're all they're looking for is the horse that's going to win the race. Because it's so more important to them to beat Obama than it is to elect somebody with principles or with ideas that really matter.
And I don't think the Republican Party gets this yet fully, even though they've been warned that the Ron Paul supporters and the supporters of that message and mission are not Republicans by, let's say, their DNA. They're literally coming into the party simply to support Ron Paul and that message. And if they diss him more, if they ignore him more, if they try to trash him and get him out of there, the Republican Party, no matter who they throw, Romney, it doesn't matter. They can get a white knight coming out on a white horse at the end. They're not going to win. And that's the point. This isn't as much about beating Obama as it is being for something. See, that's the difference. In the Republican Party, the old way, and this is the Hegelian dialectic that you love it when I bring it up, right? The right, left paradigm, the false one.
The Hegelian dialect.
Yes, it's all about we got to beat the bad guy, yet we recognize now that they're both bad guys in a sense. Ron Paul comes in and is like, hey, listen, I don't play that game. Lobbyists don't even come to visit me. Yes, it's about beating one guy that's not doing a great job, let's just say it bluntly. But at the same time, if it means just replacing with another guy that basically does the same thing with a little different rhetoric, no, not happening. We're over this at this point. And that's the difference of what's happening, the conscious awareness, the shift that is taking place.
You're right. It's the same strategy, the same principles. They're just wearing a different color shirt. They're not going to do anything different. They're just going to continue the same thing that has gotten us into the trouble that we're in now. There's one guy. There's only one guy that is going to do anything that is different, that is bold. And unfortunately, that's the guy that, majority of people are saying can't win.
And the economic collapse that we've been talking about for a long time that I did the special seminar with Mike Adams about, this is something that unless it happens, there's still an opportunity for the bad guys to win on either side because enough people think, well, everything's going along fine. It's not great, but we're okay, right? Still under that illusion. If indeed hyperinflation of any kind hits, then of course Ron Paul's a shoo-in because he's the only guy that's been talking about this. And the only reason he is not leading every poll, even the ones that are corrupt, is because people are still under the illusion that things, well, they'll get better. They're not going to get better unless you change course.